I moved cross-country and my parents ghosted me. When I started making good money, they texted, "Your brother needs money, we're on our way." They showed up having no idea what they were walking into. Sup Reddit. So I cut my family off after a lifetime of being ignored, and years later they showed up at my door like I owed them something. I, 32 male, was standing in my parents' living room last August, holding a $14 craft drink nobody gave a damn about. Tiger's game blasting at max volume because Dad's hearing was shot, but he refused to admit it. My brother Trevor was in the corner filming another TikTok about his entrepreneur grind, drop shipping Alibaba garbage at 400% markup to idiots who didn't know better. I'd just landed the biggest promotion of my career. Senior network architect, Fortune 100 cybersecurity firm, remote position, $180,000 base plus equity, moving to Austin. They're promoting me to senior architect, I said loud enough to cut through the TV noise. Moving me to Texas, $180,000 base. Nobody looked up. Not Dad, welded to his recliner. Not Mom, scrolling Facebook, probably heart-reacting Trevor's latest hustle post. Not Trevor, adjusting his ring light for optimal, authentic struggle lighting. I took a long pull from my drink, same one I'd been having for 5 years that they'd never once acknowledged, and felt something click in my chest. They didn't give a damn. I learned early I was the spare tire, the kid who existed to make Trevor look better. At 9, they threw my birthday party in the garage. Trevor needed the house for his YouTube setup, skateboard tricks for 47 subscribers. I ate grocery store cake surrounded by power tools. Mom poked her head in. "Be patient, honey. Trevor's building his brand." Got it. I didn't matter as much. At 13, I placed second in the state math competition. 6 months of prep. 2 buses to get there because Mom and Dad were watching Trevor film for his 83 subscriber channel. Brought home a trophy, medal, and certificate signed by the governor. Dad walked in on his phone talking to Trevor about lighting. "Cool, bud." Didn't even look. "Trevor needs help with this rig. His channel's about to blow up. Got a sponsor interested." For 83 subscribers. That was the dream. "Dad, Later, Evan. Trevor's building something real." Trophy sat on the kitchen table for a week. Nobody asked about it. I moved it to my room myself. I became the family fix-it guy. Router, laptop, Trevor's entire dropshipping site. 3 weeks of coding while he partied. He thanked me with a fist bump and posted on Instagram about grinding alone. No handouts, just pure hustle. The site I built. For free. Thanksgiving, Trevor showed up 4 hours late. Instagram livestream ran long. We waited. Watched the turkey turn to leather. He walked in wearing designer everything. Mom practically tackled him. "Sweetheart, you work so hard. Sit down. Evan, fix your brother a plate." I was already seated. Already hungry. Already exhausted from helping Dad smoke that turkey. Since 4 a.m. Stood up. Made his plate. Gave him the breast meat. Took the dry wings nobody wanted. Mom packed him the best leftovers. Handed me scraps in margarine containers. "He's got a son to feed. You're single. You don't need as much." I nodded. Something inside me was breaking. When I landed the architect role, I booked Giorgio's, the expensive Italian place. Invited everyone 3 weeks ahead. Confirmed twice. They came. But it wasn't about me. Mom pulled out her phone before I finished my appetizer. Helped Trevor research commercial kitchen spaces. Talked over me mid-sentence while I explained classified government contracts. Infrastructure stuff. Real work. They kept talking about square footage for Trevor's meal prep scheme. Dad asked for the check before entrees arrived. Not missing the Lions game for overpriced pasta. 35 minutes. That's all I got. Paid the $340 bill. Left 30% because the waiter looked embarrassed for me. After that, I buried myself in work. Cybersecurity architecture? Remote work meant I could be anywhere. The day I accepted the Austin offer, I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Control. Then came that Saturday in August. Michigan heat. House smelling like old carpet and desperation. Mom chasing Trevor's kid while Trevor filmed another entrepreneur TikTok. Dad half watching baseball. I opened my drink and said it clearly. They promoted me to senior architect. Moving to Austin. $180,000 base plus equity. The TV announcer screamed about a strikeout. Nobody looked up. I stood there. Condensation dripping onto my hand. For the first time, I didn't feel hurt. I felt clear. I could leave. And this house would sound exactly the same. That felt like a green light. 5 weeks later, my life was packed into a 16-footer. Turns out you don't accumulate much when you're invisible. Night before I left, I dropped a message in the family group chat. Leaving tomorrow morning. New job starts Monday. Austin bound. Red receipts showed they'd seen it. Mom, Dad, Trevor. By morning, nothing. I pulled out at 5:15 a.m. Loaded the truck myself. Dad's back was acting up. Mom had errands. Trevor didn't even acknowledge my text about the furniture I was leaving behind. Halfway through Tennessee, Mom's text came through. We need you home this weekend. Trevor's moving inventory to a new warehouse. Heavy lifting. Like I'd driven to Home Depot instead of moving 1,200 miles away. I deleted it. Blocked the family group chat. Kept driving. My apartment was downtown Austin. 23rd floor. Floor-to-ceiling windows. 2 bedrooms. Central air that didn't sound like a dying helicopter. $2,100 a month. Mine. First night I sat on the floor eating pizza from the box, watching the city lights flicker on. Nobody called asking for the router password. Nobody texted needing help moving furniture. Silence never sounded so good. The next few months fell into a rhythm. Morning runs along Lady Bird Lake. Work from home with colleagues who valued competence over family obligation. My team protected networks handling billions in assets, hospitals, power grids, banking systems, actual important work. Then I found Zuko, massive Belgian Malinois mix, 95 pounds of muscle and loyalty, shaking in a shelter kennel. The volunteer said he'd been returned 3 times. Too intense, too protective, too much dog. I knew that feeling. Took him home that afternoon. That's how I met Marissa. Dog park on a Wednesday evening. Her Doberman, Zeus, and Zuko started playing. That rough, growling, totally friendly but looks violent kind of play. Your dog's a beast, she laughed. That's what's up. Athletic, confident, zero makeup. The kind of woman who knew her worth and didn't negotiate it. She ran operations for a startup. Logistics, supply chain, the unglamorous stuff that actually makes companies function. We started meeting up after work. Dogs became inseparable. Slowly, so did we. With Marissa, I could talk about work without feeling like I was bragging. She listened, retained information, asked follow-up questions days later. How'd that penetration test go? She'd text on random Thursdays. She remembered. Holy heck. Then the ghosts found my address. Sunday morning text, family BBQ Saturday. Dad's turning 62. Show up early to set up tables and chairs. No question mark. No, we miss you. Just expectation. I showed Marissa. You gonna go? Heck no. Good. They don't deserve your time. Next day, the chat exploded. Missed calls, guilt texts, even Trevor. Dad's upset you bailed. Not cool, man. This from the guy who missed my college graduation for a pop-up shop that made $200. 3 years burned past. More promotions, hit $210,000. New friends who actually gave a damn. My apartment became home. Zuko claimed his spot on the couch. Marissa's running shoes lived by my door. I thought the past had finally stopped looking for me. Then my cousin Tanner crashed on my couch for 2 nights. Last morning, light hitting my place perfectly. Exposed brick, leather furniture, mounted TV, weight setup. Zuko sprawled on his dog bed. Tanner pulled out his phone. Dude, this setup is sick. Can I post it? Go ahead. He snapped the photo, added a caption. At my cousin Evan's spot in Austin. Man built something worth respecting. Posted it to Instagram. I barely looked at it. Didn't realize that single post, 412 likes in 3 hours, would blow up every boundary I'd built. By next morning, my phone was drowning in notifications from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. People asking what I was making now. Others wanting to know if I bought or rented. That furniture looks expensive. Cousins I barely knew commenting with fire emojis and killing it. Then Mom commented, so proud of our Evan. Always knew he'd succeed. We raised him to be independent and driven. Our. That word tasted like gasoline. Where was our during the math competition? The promotion dinner? The move? Our showed up when there was something to photograph. First text came Thursday night, 11:47 p.m. Evan, honey, we've been so worried about you. Can we talk? Mom. 3 years of near silence and suddenly she was worried. Tanner's post had been live for 72 hours. Had 500 plus likes now, which in my family's world was viral. Before I could respond, second text. Trevor showed me photos of your apartment. Very impressive. You must be doing extremely well financially. There it was. The real conversation. By morning, 6 missed calls from Mom, 3 from Dad, 2 from Trevor. Dad's voicemail was literally 8 seconds. Call your mother back. Family business. I didn't call back until Saturday afternoon. Let them stew. When Mom answered, her voice had that forced cheerfulness. Oh, sweetheart, finally. We were thinking about visiting. No, I said simply. Silence. She wasn't expecting that. Excuse me? I said no. You're not visiting. I moved 1,200 miles away for a reason. You want to talk? We can do it over the phone. Evan, we're your family. Family that ignored me for 3 years until Tanner posted my apartment online. So no, you're not coming to Austin. We already booked the flights, she said, voice going cold. Saturday morning, all 4 of us. My jaw clenched. Then cancel them. I'm not hosting you. It's non-refundable, she said, like that was my problem. We'll be there at 11. We can talk then. Mom, I'm telling you right now. The line went dead. I stared at my phone, rage building. She'd booked flights without asking. And now she was acting like my refusal didn't matter. Marissa looked up from her laptop. What happened? They booked flights to Austin. I told them not to come. She hung up on me. So don't let them in, she said simply. That's the plan. But I knew my family. They didn't take no for an answer. They'd show up anyway and make a scene until I caved. Not this time. Saturday came. I was ready. Doorbell rang at 11:20 a.m. Late, even when forcing themselves on me. I looked through the peephole. All 4 of them. Mom holding a Starbucks bag like a peace offering. Dad with cheap sodas. Trevor with Hudson looking tired and confused. I opened the door but kept my body in the doorway, blocking entry. I told you not to come, I said flatly. Mom's smile faltered. We flew all this way without my permission. That's not my problem. Evan, we're family, Dad said, trying to push past me. I didn't budge. Family that ignored me for 3 years. You're not coming in. Trevor stepped forward, voice aggressive. Bro, we flew here. Stop being a jerk and let us in. Or what? I asked, voice cold. You'll force your way into my home? Mom's eyes went wide, playing victim. We just want to see you. You want something. And seeing me is the price of admission. I'm not interested. Hudson tugged on Trevor's sleeve, looking scared. The kid didn't deserve this. But I wasn't responsible for his parents' choices. Mom's voice cracked. Please, sweetheart. We came all this way. Just let us in for a few minutes. I looked at them. All of them. Standing in my hallway with luggage, with expectations, with the same entitlement they'd always had. Part of me wanted to slam the door, but I knew they wouldn't leave. They'd camp out in the hallway, make a scene, bother my neighbors. Fine. They wanted in. They'd get exactly 2 hours. Then they were gone. 2 hours, I said. You get 2 hours. Then you leave. Understood? Mom brightened immediately. Of course, sweetie. I mean it. 2 hours. Not negotiable. I stepped aside. They practically rushed in, taking over my space like locusts. Mom swept past wearing too much perfume, already scanning my apartment like an appraiser, running her fingers over my furniture, checking price tags in her mind. Oh, sweetheart, look at you, she said, but her eyes were calculating square footage and rental costs. This is lovely, very upscale. What's the rent on a place like this? Translation. How much money do you have? Dad followed with cheap sodas, the cheapest stuff possible. I'd been drinking quality drinks for years. He'd never once remembered. Brought drinks for the game, he said, already looking for my TV. Treating my home like his personal sports bar. Trevor came in last, phone out, definitely taking video for his Instagram story. Yo, nice place. What's the square footage? Like 1,400? Downtown Austin, this has to be $2,600 a month minimum. Or did you buy? Because if you bought, don't. I cut him off, voice sharp. You're here for 2 hours. Don't spend it calculating my net worth. His smile faltered. Hudson immediately ran inside without being invited. Started touching everything. Grabbed at my TV remote, jumped on my couch. Zuko retreated to the bedroom, tail low. I checked my watch. Started the timer. We moved to the living room. Dad grabbed my TV remote without asking. Found the Tigers game. Cranked the volume. Nobody asked if I wanted to watch baseball. Mom settled onto my couch, my $3,200 leather sectional, and started the interrogation. So what's your salary now? You must be doing quite well to afford all this. Straight to it. No pretense. I'm comfortable, I said, jaw tight. Trevor laughed, that fake sound he made when fishing. Come on, man. You gotta be clearing $200,000 minimum. With equity? Maybe $250,000 total comp? He wasn't wrong, but I wasn't confirming anything. Why does it matter? I asked. Just curious, bro. Trying to understand the network architect game. Seems lucrative. It is, I said, when you actually finish your degree and work for it. Silence. Sharp. Uncomfortable. Mom forced a laugh. No need to be rude, honey. I'm not being rude. I'm being honest. Something this family struggles with. Trevor's face flushed. You know what? I came here thinking we could reconnect. You came here because Tanner posted my apartment, and you realized I have money. Let's not pretend this is about brotherhood. Hudson kept jumping on my furniture. I'd asked him twice to stop. He ignored me. Hudson, I said firmly. Last warning. Sit down or play quietly in the corner. Stop jumping on my furniture. Mom's face went tight. He's 7. He has energy. He can have energy without breaking my stuff. Don't talk that way around my son, Trevor snapped. Then control your son in my home, I shot back. The tension was thick. Mom looked offended that I wasn't playing the accommodating host. Dad kept his eyes on the TV like a coward. Trevor was scrolling his phone, probably posting about his toxic brother to his followers. 30 minutes in, I was already done with this. Mom kept pushing. Is Marissa paying half the rent? Are you two basically living together? That's none of your business. I'm just asking, sweetie. And I'm just not answering. Trevor looked up from his phone. Bro, you've changed. You used to be chill. I used to be a doormat, I corrected. I'm done with that. See? Trevor gestured at me. This attitude. This is what I'm talking about. You're acting like we're strangers. We are strangers, I said. You haven't texted me in 3 years. Don't know where I work. Don't know who I date. Don't know anything about my life. That's the definition of strangers. Mom flinched. That's not fair? It's accurate, I interrupted. You want to know what's not fair? Flying here uninvited after I explicitly told you not to come. That's not fair. Dad finally spoke, still facing the TV. We're your parents. We can visit our son. Not without permission, you can't. An hour in, the real conversation started. Mom shifted forward on the couch, hands folded. Practiced expression. Your father and I have been thinking about your brother's situation. Stop, I said. Whatever this is, no. You haven't even heard. Don't need to? The answer's no. Trevor set his phone down. Bro, just listen. I said no. I'm not funding your next failure. I'm not bailing out mom and dad's terrible decisions. I'm not your emergency fund. Mom's eyes widened. How dare you? How dare I what? Have boundaries? Refuse to enable your golden child? Actually expect to be treated like family instead of a checkbook? We raised you. No, I cut her off, voice cold. You raised Trevor. I raised myself. Big difference. Trevor stood up, angry now. You're really gonna sit there acting like you had it so hard? You got everything. Name one thing, I challenged. One thing they gave me that they didn't give you first. One time they put me first. One sacrifice they made for me. Silence. Complete damning silence. That's what I thought, I said. I checked my watch. Hour and 40 minutes. 20 minutes left. But I was done. Time's up, I said, standing. You need to leave. Evan, we haven't, Mom started. I don't care. You came here uninvited. I gave you 2 hours out of courtesy. Now you're leaving. We flew all this way. Your choice. Your problem. Not mine. I walked to the door, opened it. Out. Trevor grabbed Hudson, face red with rage and humiliation. You're really gonna do this? I really am. Doors open. Use it. Mom stood up, tears starting. That practiced emotional manipulation. After everything we've done for you? Like what? I asked. Specifically, name one thing. One sacrifice. She couldn't. Just stood there, mouth opening and closing. That's what I thought, I said. Leave. Dad finally stood, grabbing his jacket. You've become cruel. No, I said. I became honest. And you can't handle it. Trevor lingered at the door. We came here to ask for your help. I know, I said. That's why you came. That's the only reason you came. And that's exactly why the answer is no. Trevor's in trouble, Mom blurted out. Real trouble. He owes money. Not my problem, I said simply. He's an adult. He made choices. He can face consequences. He could lose everything. Good, I said. Maybe he'll learn something. Trevor's face went pale. You're really gonna let me fail? I'm gonna let you experience reality, I corrected. Something Mom and Dad never did. Consider it a gift. This is messed up. No, I cut him off. What's messed up is showing up uninvited, treating my home like an ATM, and expecting me to fund your delusions. What's messed up is 3 years of silence followed by demands for money. What's messed up is using a 7-year-old as emotional leverage. Hudson was crying now, confused and scared. Trevor, I said, voice dropping, take your son and leave. Don't contact me again unless you're ready to actually apologize. Not the kind where you're sorry I'm upset, the kind where you're sorry for what you did. He grabbed Hudson and walked out. Mom tried one more time. Evan, please. Out, I said. Now. She looked at Dad. He shook his head, already halfway to the elevator. They left. I closed the door, locked it, leaned against it. Zuko came out from the bedroom, tail wagging, clearly relieved. My phone buzzed. Marissa, how'd it go? I typed back, exactly how I planned. Gave them 2 hours. Kicked them out when they asked for money. Her reply, proud of you. Want company tonight? I smiled. Yeah, bring Zeus. Dogs can celebrate too. I looked around my apartment. Mine. Actually mine. No guilt, no obligation, no performance, just boundaries. And I'd never felt better. I thought kicking them out would be the end of it. Thought they'd fly back to Michigan, lick their wounds, maybe learn something. I was wrong. Sunday morning, 9:47 a.m. Doorbell rang again. Through the peephole. All 3 of them. Again. Same desperate expressions. Hudson looking exhausted. I didn't open the door. Evan! Mom's voice muffled through the door. We know you're in there. We need to talk. I stayed silent. Waited. Evan, please. We flew all this way. We're staying in Austin until we work this out. My blood went cold. Staying in Austin? Open the door. Dad's voice. Gruff. Demanding. I pulled out my phone, texted, you need to leave. I told you yesterday. Not interested in whatever you're selling. Mom's phone buzzed. Watched through the peephole as she read it. We're not leaving until you hear us out, she called through the door. Trevor banged on it. Bro, stop being a coward. Open the door. I called building security instead. Yeah, I've got people harassing me in my hallway. They won't leave. Can you send someone up? 5 minutes later, a security guard arrived. Professional guy who'd seen this before. Folks, you need to leave. Resident doesn't want you here. We're his family. Doesn't matter. This is private property. If you don't leave voluntarily, I'm calling the police. They left, finally. But Mom texted, we're not giving up. We're staying at a hotel near the domain. We'll be back. I blocked the number. Found another text from a different number an hour later. This is your mother. Don't block me. We need to talk about this like adults. Blocked that one too. Then emails started. Then Facebook messages. Then LinkedIn attempts. Trevor tried reaching me through Tanner. Through old high school friends on social media. Through my company's main line. Claiming it was a family emergency. HR called me Tuesday afternoon. Evan, we had someone call claiming to be your brother. Said there was a family emergency and he needed to reach you urgently. There's no emergency, I said. He's harassing me for money. If he calls again, don't transfer it. Understood. Just wanted to verify. Day 5. I took Zuko for his evening walk. Same route we always took. Around the block, through the small park, back home. I didn't see them waiting until it was too late. Trevor stepped out from behind a parked van. Dad right behind him. Before I could react, Dad grabbed Zuko's leash and yanked it out of my hands. Trevor shoved me backward. Dad, the man who'd barely raised his voice my entire childhood. Now he was wild-eyed, desperate. Desperation does ugly things to people. What the? Shut up! Trevor's voice was different now. Ugly. Desperate. You want to play games? Fine. We'll play games. Dad was already walking away with my dog. Zuko was pulling back, confused, whimpering. Zuko! I started after them. Trevor blocked me, got right in my face. You're gonna listen now. We need that money. You're gonna give us $75,000 or we're selling this dog tomorrow. There's a guy who buys working dogs. Cash. No questions asked. My hands were shaking. Not from fear, from rage. You wouldn't. Try me. He smiled. Actually smiled. You've got 48 hours. Wire the money or the dog's gone. And don't bother calling the cops. By the time they do anything, Zuko will be in another state with no papers. You'll never see him again. They drove off, my dog's face in the back window, looking at me like I'd abandoned him. I stood there on the sidewalk for a long time. Then I went home and called my lawyer. Explained everything, voice steady, mind already working. They took my dog, threatened to sell him if I don't pay. That's theft and extortion. We need to call the police. I already called 911, gave them the hotel name and Trevor's plate number. But I held off on the full complaint until we confirm they're still there. If I push too hard now, they run and the dog's gone. Smart, what else? How much debt are my parents in? The house, everything. Silence. Then, I can run a search. Public records. Give me a few hours? I waited. The results came back at 11 p.m. Mom and Dad's second mortgage. $85,000 at 9.5% interest. Already 2 months behind. Foreclosure proceedings would start at 90 days. Their house was worth $240,000. Total debt, $195,000. Equity, $45,000. Shrinking daily with fees and penalties. Trevor's business debts. $68,000 across 6 creditors. Personal guarantees on everything. Mom and Dad had put their house up as collateral on $30,000 of his supplier debt. They were 60 days from losing everything, and they'd just made the biggest mistake of their lives. Trevor texted the next morning. Clock's ticking. 36 hours. Don't test me. I didn't respond. Instead, I called my lawyer again. I want to buy my parents' house before the bank takes it. Fair market value, cash offer. That's unexpected. They wanted to play hardball. Fine. I'll show them what hardball looks like. I spent the next 24 hours preparing, had my lawyer draft the purchase offer, lined up the cash, called a real estate agent who specialized in distressed properties. At hour 44, Mom called from a new number. Evan, please. Trevor's serious. He found a buyer. They're coming tomorrow morning. I know, I said. I pulled your foreclosure filing from the county records, by the way. Interesting timing. What? Check your email. I just sent you a purchase offer for the house. $240,000. Cash. Closes in 2 weeks. Dead silence. You're... what? I'm buying your house. The one you're about to lose because you co-signed Trevor's disasters. Fair market value. More than the bank will give you at auction. Evan, that's not... We don't want to sell. You don't have a choice. You're 2 months behind. Bank's going to take it anyway. I'm offering you a way out that doesn't destroy your credit completely. I paused. But here's the thing. That offer expires in 72 hours. And if anything happens to my dog before then, if Trevor sells him, hurts him, or I don't get him back in perfect condition, I pull the offer. Let the bank have everything. Watch you lose the house you lived in for 32 years over your golden child's stupidity. You can't. I can, and I will. You wanted to play games with my dog? Fine. Now I'm playing games with your house. Your move. I hung up. Less than an hour later, my doorbell rang. Opened it to find Dad standing there alone. Zuko on a leash beside him. Zuko was home. That was non-negotiable. Dad looked broken. Couldn't meet my eyes. Just handed me the leash and walked away without saying a word. Zuko jumped on me, tail wagging, licking my face. I held him for a long time. Then I went inside and forwarded the purchase agreement to my lawyer. They'll sign, I said. Make sure it's airtight. Because here's what they didn't understand. I wasn't buying their house to save them. I was buying it so they couldn't keep using it against me. The purchase went through exactly as planned. Mom and Dad tried to negotiate, tried to add conditions, wanted to stay as renters at below market rates, wanted me to forgive the debt, wanted me to be reasonable. I wasn't interested in reasonable. Fair market rent is $1,900, I told my lawyer. That's the number. They can pay it or they can leave. Their choice. They're claiming financial hardship, asking for $800. Then they can find somewhere else to live for $800. Not my property. They signed. Had no choice. Bank was already circling. The day the sale closed, I got a text from Trevor. You think you won something? You just bought yourself a landlord headache. Have fun dealing with Mom and Dad as tenants. I smiled at that, because he didn't know the rest of the plan. 2 weeks after closing, I served my parents with a formal notice. Month-to-month tenancy. No lease. Rent due on the 1st. $1,900. Late fee of $100 after the 5th. Eviction proceedings begin after 30 days of non-payment. Mom called crying. You can't do this to us. We're your parents. You took my dog, I said. Threatened to sell him. Used him as a bargaining chip for money. You think I forgot that? That was Trevor's idea. And you went along with it. Dad grabbed the leash. You knew what was happening. You made your choice. Evan, please. We can't afford $1,900. Your father's only working part-time. I'm doing odd jobs. We're barely surviving. Should have thought about that before you bet everything on Trevor. We're your parents. You're my tenants, I said. Big difference. And if you can't pay, you've got 30 days to figure something out. The first month they paid, scraped it together somehow. Second month they were late. I filed the late fee. Third month they couldn't make it. Trevor had moved in with them. All 4 of them in that house now, including Hudson. Mom begged for an extension. I gave them 10 days. Then I started eviction proceedings. My lawyer handled everything. Clean. Professional. By the book. Meanwhile, Trevor's creditors closed in. Without the house as collateral anymore. It was mine now. They had nothing to secure the debt against. Judgments piled up. Wage garnishment hit whatever he was making at his warehouse job. His BMW got repossessed from my parents' driveway at 6 a.m. on a Tuesday. I watched the repo truck drive away from the property management app on my phone. There's a camera on the front porch now. The eviction notice got served on day 45. Mom showed up at my building that night. Security called me. There's a woman in the lobby. Says she's your mother. She's crying, sir. Tell her I'm not available. She says she'll wait. Then call the police after an hour if she won't leave. I watched the security feed from my laptop. Watched her sit in that lobby for 3 hours, dabbing her eyes, looking at her phone, hoping I'd come down. I didn't. Eventually she left. Sent me an email that night. Evan, we made mistakes. Terrible mistakes. We should never have let Trevor take your dog. Should never have threatened you. Should never have put him before you all those years. But please, don't take our home. Don't put us on the street. Your father's health is failing. Hudson needs stability. We're begging you. We're begging you, please. Mom, I read it twice. Then I forwarded it to my lawyer with one word. Proceed. The eviction finalized 2 weeks later. Sheriff's Department gave them 72 hours to vacate. I didn't go watch. Didn't need to. Property management sent me photos after. Empty rooms. Some damage to the walls. They'd left trash behind. Took the refrigerator even though it came with the house. I had it fixed up. New paint, new appliances, professional cleaning. Listed it for rent at $2,100 a month. Had a tenant within a week. Passive income, $2,100 rent minus $280 property taxes. $150 insurance, $200 management fee. Over $1,400 a month in my pocket, free and clear. Trevor ended up in a motel. Then a shelter when the money ran out. Mom and Dad moved into a one-bedroom apartment on the bad side of town. Rent, $750. All 4 of them sharing that space. His Instagram went dark. No more posts about the entrepreneurial grind. No more motivational quotes. No more rented sports cars and designer clothes. Just silence. I should have felt bad. I didn't. Because I'd spent 32 years watching them sacrifice everything for Trevor's dreams, while ignoring mine. Watching them threaten to sell my dog like he was nothing. Like everything I loved was theirs to leverage. Watching them finally face consequences? That felt like justice. 8 months later, March in Austin, I was out with Marissa at a UT basketball game when my phone buzzed. Unknown number. This is Trevor. Can we talk? Please. I'm begging. I showed Marissa. She raised an eyebrow. Begging now? Apparently. You gonna meet him? I thought about it. Part of me wanted to ignore it completely. But another part, the part that remembered my dog's face in that car window, wanted to see what rock bottom looked like on him. Yeah, I said. I want to see this. We met at a coffee shop downtown. Neutral ground. Public. He looked destroyed. Gaunt. Clothes that didn't fit right. Shoes falling apart. Hands shaking when he sat down. I'm not here for money, he started. Good, because you're not getting any. I know I'm not. He couldn't look at me. I needed you to see what I've become. What we've all become. I sipped my coffee. Said nothing. Hudson's living with his mom full time now. I lost custody because I couldn't provide stable housing. I see him twice a month. Supervised visits at a facility that smells like bleach. His voice cracked. He asked me why Grandma and Grandpa live in such a small apartment. I didn't know what to say. I still said nothing. Dad had a heart attack last month. Minor one. But they can't afford the follow-up care. Mom's working 2 jobs at 63 years old. They eat ramen for dinner most nights. He finally looked up at me. Eyes red. Face wet. And I did this. I did all of this. Yes, I said. You did. The dog thing. He shook his head. That was the worst moment of my life. Not when they arrested me. Not when I lost everything. The worst moment was watching you on that sidewalk as we drove away with Zuko. The look on your face. I'll never forget it. Neither will I. I'm sorry. The words came out broken. I'm so sorry. For everything. For 30 years of taking and never giving back. For thinking I deserved everything because Mom and Dad told me I was special. For taking your dog and threatening to sell him like some kind of monster. I was a monster. I am a monster. He was crying now. Really crying. The kind of crying you can't fake. Mom wanted me to tell you she's sorry too. She writes you letters she never sends. Pages and pages about how she failed you. How she chose wrong. How she wishes she could go back and do everything differently. I finished my coffee. Set the cup down. Dad too. He can't say it because he's too proud. But I hear him at night sometimes. Talking to himself. Saying your name. Saying he's sorry. Trevor wiped his face. Looked at me with something like hope. Is there any chance? Any chance at all we could, I don't know, start over? Not money. Not the house. Just Maybe a phone call sometimes. Maybe you could meet Hudson again. He still asks about Uncle Evan. Still has that toy car you gave him when he was 4. I looked at him for a long time. Thought about everything. 32 years of being invisible. 32 years of achievements that were never good enough. Zuko shaking in my arms after I got him back. Mom crying in my lobby while I watched on the security feed. Then I stood up. No. His face crumbled. Evan, please. You asked if we could start over. The answer is no. There's nothing to start over. There was never anything real to begin with. I was an ATM to you. A backup plan. A resource to exploit when the favorite son ran out of options. That's not... You took my dog. I said it quiet. Cold. Grabbed him off the street. Threatened to sell him to some stranger. Used the only living thing I actually loved as a bargaining chip for money. And now you want me to pretend that didn't happen? To pick up the phone on holidays and make small talk? He opened his mouth. Nothing came out. Tell Mom I got her message. Tell Dad I don't care about his nighttime apologies. Tell Hudson... I paused. Actually, don't tell Hudson anything. He'll figure it out when he's older. Figure out that his dad and his grandparents burned every bridge for money and then wondered why nobody came to visit. I started walking toward the door. Evan, wait. Please, I'm begging you. We're all begging you. I stopped. Didn't turn around. I know, I said. That's the difference between us. I never begged for anything. I just built something worth having. And you spent your whole life taking from people who did the work. We're family. No, we're not. Family doesn't threaten to sell your dog. Family doesn't show up demanding money when you haven't spoken in years. Family doesn't mortgage their house for the golden child and then come crying when it all falls apart. I finally turned to look at him. You're strangers who share my DNA. That's all you've ever been. I just didn't realize it until you made it impossible to ignore. I left him there, crying, alone, in a coffee shop full of people pretending not to watch. When I got back to Marissa, she looked up from her phone. How'd it go? They're still begging. You forgive them? No. I pulled her close. And I never will. She smiled. Good. Later that night, we were at my place, our place now, and my phone buzzed 3 more times. Mom, Dad, Trevor again. Different numbers, same desperate messages. Please. We're begging. Just one more chance. I deleted them all without reading past the first line. Zuko jumped up on the couch, laid his massive head on my lap like he knew, like he remembered that week away from home. I scratched behind his ears, and he made that content sound that meant everything was okay. Outside, Austin glowed. My city, my life, my choice. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that subscribe button. It really helps the channel and help us bring you more and better stories. Thanks.